Hello, welcome to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you create a wealthy life free from burnout and with the financial security to practice medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa Zhang. Hello, and welcome back to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. Have you ever found yourself suddenly coming into more money than you expected? Maybe you earned a larger than anticipated bonus, received a small inheritance, or even got a settlement for something unexpected. We're not talking millions of dollars here, just a substantial amount, maybe a few thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. Enough to make you pause and think, what should I do with this? The first thing to do is actually nothing. Pause. Resist the urge to be impulsive. Don't rush to upgrade your car, buy a designer bag, or book a luxury vacation just yet. Give yourself some time to think clearly before you make any decisions. In the meantime, park that money somewhere safe. A high-yield savings account is perfect, and it's FDIC insured. If you've inherited an account like an IRA or brokerage account, it's best to leave the money where it is until you have a clear plan. Moving inherited funds without understanding the rules could cause tax headaches you weren't expecting. And speaking of taxes, that's the next step. Make sure you understand any tax implications before spending a penny of your newfound windfall. Different sources of money come with different tax treatments. For example, a work bonus probably already has taxes withheld, though it may still bump up your total taxable income for the year. Inheritance rules vary from state to state and also depends on things like your relationship with the person who passed. If you received a settlement, part of it could be taxable, while another part might not be. A quick check-in with your CPA or tax professional is worth it here. You don't want to tie up all your windfall or spend it all, only to discover later that you owe a chunk of it to the IRS. You may potentially even want to make an estimated tax payment to the IRS and not wait till tax day to pay what you owe. Once you've accounted for taxes, now comes the fun and strategic part, deciding on how this money can best serve you. Before diving into your long-term financial goals, consider taking a small part, somewhere around 5 to 10%, and allowing yourself to enjoy that money. This is where you can splurge and have fun with it. Celebrate this windfall. Treat yourself to something that brings you genuine joy. Maybe that's a weekend getaway or a really nice dinner out. Perhaps there's something you've been eyeing for a while, and now this is the time to make that purchase. For example, if you love tennis and have been waiting for a new high-end racket, or you've had your eye on a special piece of jewelry, now is your chance. Doing this acknowledges your good fortune and gives you a sense of satisfaction that helps you stay disciplined with the rest. Now, let's look at the bigger picture, your financial goals. Ask yourself, where am I on track and where am I behind? Which goals currently feel most important or are time sensitive? If you have any high interest debt, think credit cards charging 20% interest or any personal loans that are over 9%, I would suggest starting there. Paying those off is essentially a guaranteed return, and it's hard to beat a guaranteed 20%. Getting rid of that debt is like giving yourself an immediate raise. Where most people get stuck is with moderate or low interest debt, like student loans or a mortgage. Here, the decision becomes more personal. If your mortgage rate is under 5%, the math generally favors investing instead of paying it down faster. A diversified, low-cost index fund will likely grow more over time than the interest you save by making extra mortgage payments. But money isn't all about math. It's also about mindset. If being debt-free brings you peace of mind and helps you sleep better at night, it's perfectly fine to put some of your windfall towards paying it down. Some people hate having debt, and the idea of being totally debt-free brings them feelings of security and happiness. If this is you, then it's not wrong to pay down or pay off the mortgage. You don't have to maximize the return of every dollar that comes your way. That being said, you do not want to delay investing until all your debt is gone. Having no debt doesn't automatically mean you have wealth. Wealth comes from owning assets, investments that grow and generate income over time. To build real wealth, your money has to work for you. You can be debt-free and still have nothing working on your behalf, which means that you're not building long-term financial freedom. The sweet spot is balancing both, paying down debt while also having assets that grow. Now, let's take a closer look at your goals. Do you have an adequate emergency fund? Ideally, you want 3 months to a year of essential living expenses saved, depending on your job stability and your comfort level. If your emergency fund feels thin, this is a great opportunity to strengthen that safety net. Next, review your retirement savings. Are you maxing out your retirement accounts? Are you on track to reach retirement or your financial independence goals? Or would you like to accelerate that timeline? Many physicians need to save and invest more than the contribution limits to retirement accounts in order to maintain their standard of living in retirement. Depending on how many more years you plan to work, your income, and how much you want to spend in your retirement, most physicians will want to invest 15 to 20% of their gross income towards financial freedom. Some may even want to invest more than that, especially if they want to get to financial freedom earlier in life. For 2025, the 401k and 403 contribution limit for employees under age 50 is $23,500, which is less than 10% of the average physician income reported for 2024 of $374,000. This means even if you're maxing out your retirement accounts, you may also want to be investing in a taxable brokerage account towards the goal of retirement or financial freedom. Also, if you have a high deductible health insurance plan that qualifies you for a health savings account, consider maxing that out. The HSA is the only account with a triple tax benefit. Contributions are tax deductible, the money grows tax-free, and withdrawals for qualified medical expenses are also tax-free. It's one of the most efficient investment vehicles available, especially because we will all have healthcare expenses later in life. If you're already well on track for retirement and have healthy savings, it may make sense to pay off lower interest debt simply for peace of mind. But remember to consider the big picture. If you're expecting student loan forgiveness, it probably doesn't make sense to pay those loans down early. Instead, you can invest that portion of your windfall. And if forgiveness doesn't come through, you can always use the investment to pay the balance off later. Beyond debt and investing, your windfall can help you reach other meaningful goals. Maybe it's funding your children's education, saving for a future renovation of your house, or paying cash for your next car. Just be cautious about creating new goals on the spot. Windfalls can make us feel more optimistic or even invincible with money. They can lead to lifestyle inflation or long-term commitments that derail your bigger plans. Use this money to strengthen the goals you already have, not start new ones impulsively. And finally, if you're torn between several good options, say paying off low-interest debt versus keeping the money in a high-yield savings account, remember that flexibility has value too. If the savings account is earning more interest than your loan is charging, it may make sense to keep that money liquid until you're certain how you want to use it. At the end of the day, I've never met anyone who regretted using a windfall to build stability, reduce stress, or improve their financial freedom. Whether it's paying off debt, investing for the future, or strengthening your safety net, any of those choices will serve you well. So to sum it all up, when you receive a windfall, start by pausing and thinking before you act. Set the money aside safely and figure out any tax obligations. Then treat yourself to something small but meaningful while you put the rest towards your long-term goals, whether that's paying down debt, investing for freedom, or boosting your savings. That's how you turn a temporary bit of good fortune into lasting financial progress. Thank you so much for being a listener of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. If you've been enjoying this podcast and haven't yet left a 5-star review, I encourage you to do that today. It would mean so much for me to see a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts or with whatever podcast app you are listening to this episode on. I'll be back next week with another episode of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could share it with your friends and colleagues. And now for the disclaimer. I am not a certified financial planner, accountant,
or attorney, and nothing I say should be construed as professional investment, tax, or legal advice. This show is primarily for your education and entertainment. I am a physician, but I'm probably not your physician. So if you need any medical advice, please contact your own physician. Thank you.